Have you ever read a series where you're really invested in it? It's going really well. You want to see how it's going to develop, and you're all set for the next arc, and then suddenly, just like that, the series is over, and you feel disappointed, unsatisfied, and annoyed. Yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today. What's up, everyone? It's Carrie, aka Nerdygirlcreates. Welcome back to my channel. It's Manga Monday, and I know, yes, last week there was no Manga Monday because of the holidays, but we are back and we are ready to talk about some manga, specifically a digital manga series. But before we get into that, I do want to remind everybody, do not forget to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you'll be alerted when there's a new video up. And don't be afraid to comment down below and let me know what you think of my videos. Alright, so today we're going to talk about, yes, a digital manga series. This one is not available so far in physical. It's 6 volumes in total, which is very short, and that's part of what we're going to talk about in this review. It's from Kodansha. It is called My Brother the Shut-In. It is created by Kinoko Higurashi, and it focuses on 2 siblings who have a very, I would call it unique, but if you've learned a lot about Japan, this is something that's actually an ongoing situation there. You have Shino. She's the younger sister. She has this perfect life in high school. She's got friends. She's popular. She's even now got a boyfriend. But what nobody seems to know about is that she has a brother, Tamotsu, and he is a shut-in. Now, there's a word for it in Japanese, but I don't remember what it's called. But what happened with Tamotsu is when he was in middle school, he got bullied. He got bullied really bad, but it wasn't by other kids. Surprisingly, it was by a teacher. And he then resorted to some bad behavior to deal with these feelings, and then when he realized just how far over the edge he went, he ended up shutting down and locking himself in the room. Well, this situation caused a lot of stress on the family. The parents divorced. Shino was embarrassed at school because everybody knew about her brother being a shut-in. So she made the decision to go live with her dad and brother in a different town and attend a new school where she reinvented her image, but didn't tell anybody she has a brother. She has convinced everybody she's an only child. Meanwhile, Tamotsu is sitting in his room, staring at his comics, barely ever leaves it. The father's worried. The sister, on the other hand, and when you first read it, you first look at it like she's very selfish and you dislike her. But as the story progresses, you kind of understand her situation. She's had her whole life turned upside down. She's had to move. She's living with the father under the agreement she takes on a lot of chores. There's a lot of deep-rooted feelings about this towards her brother because he's the cause of a lot of it. She's got to do all the housework while he sits in a room, so that makes her angry. The father's harder on her than him because he's a shut-in. You know, she feels embarrassed by him. She doesn't want anybody to know about this situation because she feels like it's just going to ruin her life again because she's already experienced it once. She has a strained relationship with her mother, who's gone off and reinvented herself as a makeup artist, and she rarely sees her. You know, she's angry, and it's understandable. Yes, she could deal with it better, but she's also a teenager. So she's, really frustrated, and one day her and her father have a fight, and she just kind of like blows up and talks about how she's got to take on all of this stuff, and Tamotsu doesn't have to do anything, and she's embarrassed by him, and it's not fair that, all this is on her. Well, the brother's listening to this, and then suddenly, miraculously, he decides to leave the room. And this shocks both his sister and father. The father's ecstatic. The sister's in shock and not... How can I put this? She is concerned that now the lie she built is going to fall apart. He, on the other hand, is doing it not because he's finally found the will to want to leave the room, but because he doesn't want his sister to be embarrassed by him. He doesn't want his sister to have all the responsibility. So he comes out of the room and he starts taking baby steps. He starts doing work in the house. He starts cooking dinner. He's taking on that. He finally gets himself a job. He's always asking his sister for advice. He's being always nice and friendly to her, but she's always being, stubborn and mean back towards him. He gets his first job. It doesn't go well. He's got a lot of, I guess you could call it PTSD from whatever the situation that occurred. And it kind of, somebody starts screaming at him and it kind of triggers him. So he goes home and he feels defeated. Sister kind of makes a remark. He gets back out there and gets another job. He is struggling a lot because he has missed his whole high school experience. That's how long he's been shut in. And he is kind of stunted at a certain age despite physically aging. And he's having a really hard time, trying to build relationships. He also has a really hard time kind of recognizing signals from the opposite sex. When a girl is really nice to him, he's thinking she could be interested in me, and he starts believing he's in love, and then it doesn't work out, and then he's back in the dumps. He starts to find something, though, that motivates him more. He was always inspired by a certain comic book, and that's, without spoiling anything, that leads him into finding that inner strength and that purpose in life. His sister, on the other hand, is concerned that everybody's going to find out about this. She's going to lose her boyfriend. She's going to lose her friends. Things kind of take a weird turn for her, and she ends up in the situation that Tamotsu was originally in, and it's up to him to try to get her out of it. She has her own dream. The relationships slowly get to this place in a realistic way of her slowly forgiving him and him finally building that brother-sisterly bond that's been broken for so long. And then this is where I have the issue. I don't know if this was suddenly canceled or maybe the creator didn't really want this to be a long ongoing series. But you get to a point where both of them start to pick themselves up and find something that they really, really are inspired by. Something that's going to define their life. And they both start to go into it. And instead of getting an arc where you see them finally, struggling to make their dreams come true and kind of still finally get to that point where they're brother and sister. Because there's still a lot of animosity between her and him. I can't speak. It gets better up to this point, but then suddenly, instead of continuing on with that development, we're suddenly transported into the future. Both of them are finally achieved their dreams, and I kind of feel cheated because it's you don't get. There's a missing part of the story between when she's in high school and he's making those steps to rejoin society, and then the future where they've fulfilled their dreams. There's that little part in the middle where you just only get a glimpse of them starting to work on that and start to work on their relationship to the point where they can just let the past go. You don't even get any kind of resolution of Tamotsu dealing with what has happened to him that led him on that dark path into becoming a shut-in. I feel like there was a whole arc that was supposed to be done. And then the writer just rushed the ending. Again, it could be because it's canceled. I did not look up to find out. I know, bad on me. But, this story would have been so much better if we got that part where the two of them mature. That's what I want to say, mature. They both finally learn to mature. Tamotsu finally becomes the adult he was meant to be at his age. The sister finally lets go of those childish tantrums and hatred towards how her brother ruined her life. And the two of them finally just like let go of it. Just they finally become really close. And you don't get that. And that's my issue with this. And I think this is what happens with a lot of these that are digital. I think a lot of the times they're because they got canceled. And the author really wanted to like finish it up just so there was a conclusion to the story. But I kind of wish this is a story, and I said it a couple weeks ago on Otaku Tuesday, this is one I felt like people were sleeping on. And I really felt like this deserved better. This ending deserved better. There should have been like another maybe 6 books to flesh out their transition into adulthood and working on their relationship more. Because their relationship was starting to get better, but it still had a way to go. This makes sense. I'm like all over the place right now. It's just really disappointing that we didn't get that, and we didn't get Tamotsu finally confronting his past and kind of overcoming all that trauma. I didn't even need him to like face down the bully. We just needed to see him finally say, it wasn't my fault. You know, make amends with his mother. But we didn't get that. Yeah, I was disappointed in this ending. And I felt like this could be something that would have been really nice, really good if it was allowed, if the author, if it was canceled, allowed to flesh it out more. Yeah. Art-wise, though, it's really nice. I do like the art. It does have kind of like an homage to the earlier days of manga, like the early 2000s version of manga. I have to be specific because there was a whole different style way back in the 60s and 80s. But it has that shoujo feel without it being too, like, over the top. I feel like this was, like, could be up to the point before you get to that time jump. It's a really good look at, like, 2 different people dealing with a situation. The one who was traumatized, trying to rebuild his life. Trying to catch up where he's been left behind. A sister trying to accept that the brother whose trauma ended up changing her whole life, except that he is trying, except that he wants to improve. And it's, again, I'm like just rambling now. It's a situation that happens a lot in Japan, and it probably happens here too, but I don't think there's as much as a focus on it. Where bullying, kids can get bullied so bad. I mean, and in Japan there's even a higher stress level on kids because they're expected to achieve, they're expected to be successful, and when they're failing and when they're getting bullied and they're not fighting back, they feel this pressure of, I'm not good enough, I failed my family, I failed everybody who had all these expectations of me. And then they just kind of shut themselves away or do something worse. It's nice to see somebody finding inspiration, if it wasn't within himself, inspiration because somebody he cares about. And for Tamotsu, that's his sister. He realized that because of him, her life had changed. She's taken on all the burdens. and he is sitting in his room feeling bad for himself. The fact that he was able to get up and walk out of that room is a big deal. The sister doesn't see it at first because all she's thinking about is her own personal life and how people are going to find out about what she's been hiding and how everybody's going to abandon her. Again, it's a good story up to the point before the time jump, because you have this piece that's missing. And I kind of wish they fleshed it out. Again, I don't know the reason why it wasn't. I don't know if this was the creator's choice. I don't know if this was because of a cancellation. But this could have been something really, really good if they just had that next part kind of like flesh out the ending better. Kind of have them, you know, finally maturing and understanding adult responsibilities and also the importance of family. Making amends with the past. But you don't get that, and it's so, so disappointing. It really is, because I was so invested in this story, and I don't really read a lot of digital manga, but this I was invested in, and it was really good. And then to just end it the way they did, just kind of like, it just ruined everything for me. I mean, I hope, you know, if it was canceled, maybe enough people would find interest in this series. Maybe the creator can have a second chance and kind of flesh things out with like a sequel series or something. I don't know. But it's nice to see more of these, like, addressing issues that really happen. And how it not only just affects the person who was the victim, but everybody around them. And God, I wish they would really have gotten more into it. And kind of just finally finish that journey in a way that it deserved to be finished. But yeah, that's my brother the Shut-In, and I've talked enough. You can tell I'm disappointed. But, you know, it's gonna happen. And it happens a lot with some series that I think people sleep on, and then it gets canceled before it really gets the conclusion it deserves. And it's why I don't try to read a lot of stuff I know was canceled, because I know it's going to be rushed if it even gets an ending, because sometimes it might not even get an ending. So that's why I just kind of like stay away from canceled series. If this was canceled, I feel really bad for the creator, because I think they're a very, very talented story writer and artist, and I would be interested to read more from Kinoko Higurashi. I know. But, yeah, I was just disappointed. Well, just to remind everybody, if you are looking for manga series, especially physical manga series, go ahead and check out my links below. I have a coupon for Takara Cafe where you can find a lot of volumes, including some out-of-print ones. He even has box sets. Also want to remind everybody, Tuesday nights is Otaku Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Me and the squad get together and we talk manga, anime, and more. Because sometimes we go off the rails, but it's always fun, so come join us. I also want to remind everybody again, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Please comment down below. Is there any series that you've gotten really invested in, like I did with this one, that ended just poorly? I'm really interested to know. So go ahead, comment down below, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.